everybody, this is Sindhu from Imagination to Creation, and I'm a young creative artist, and today I'll be teaching you how to make a very simple, easy acrylic painting of Lord Ganesha. The materials we'll be needing for the super simple, easy painting are some paintbrushes. The paintbrushes I am using are just flat brushes. They're all flat brushes. I chose out 3. And the reason I have 3 is because I have one flat brush and 2 smaller ones about the same size. And for different colors, like for the dark colors, I have a certain one, and for light colors, I have another certain one to make sure they don't blend together. So 3 paintbrushes, all flat ones. You'll also be needing a pencil. I'm just using a regular pencil. An eraser, just a regular eraser. And you'll also be needing some paints. The colors I will be using are some black, some white, some blue, some red, some yellow, and some brown. And you'll also be needing a plate or a palette for squirting your paint onto so you don't get it anywhere else. And you'll also be needing like a newspaper or anything like that just to put in underneath your painting so it doesn't get your table or your surface all painted or anything like that. I'd like to also thank the Telugu Association of North America and the president of it, Jay Tullery, and the New Jersey Regional Vice President, Raja Kasakirti. And I just would like to thank the entire association for giving me this opportunity. And yeah, let's get started. And real quick, before we start, I would just like to chant Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha 3 times. So if you'd like to, please do it along with me. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. All right. And real quick, I would just like to tell you the Zoom rules. Make sure that you are on mute when I am teaching this, because if a lot of people are talking, then it's hard to do this. And it's hard to concentrate on what we're doing when there's a lot of sounds in the background. So make sure you're on mute. And also, real quick, I'd like to go over how to raise your hand. So, if you click on participants, then you should see an option that says raise hand. And then if you click it, it's a blue hand, and then I will know if your hand is raised. And if you like to, you can try raising your hand just to make sure it works. And this is like for me to know if like you have a question or anything like that, then I can call on you. All right. So now we can get started. So we're going to first start off by putting the basic sketch and the outline. And some of the young kids may need help from their parents. So if you're having trouble doing this, then you can ask your parents and an older sibling to help you. All right. So let's get started. So for this, we are first going to be starting off with a round shape that comes from halfway about halfway. at the top of your canvas. And if you don't have a canvas, then you can use some canvas paper, some watercolor paper, anything like that. I don't recommend to use regular paper because it'll like make your paper all crinkly once it dries. So I'm just going to bring it through from right here, and you want to draw pretty lightly. I'm drawing darker so you guys can all see it better. But I just want to go in here like this, and you want this to be like coming a little bit past halfway, otherwise it'll be too much of a background. So I'm just going to bring it down. Like this, and I'm going to bring it down to about here. And if you like to, in the chat, if you ever need anything repeated, then like I don't know when the chat comes in, so make sure to say like what part you want repeated, because I can repeat it on another piece of paper. All right. So now from here, we're gonna curve it inwards. So I'm gonna bring it up right here, like this. And then back in, like that, just that much. It looks a little bit confusing right here, but it's super easy and simple. You just have to look at it closely, but it just curves into right here, and then I'll explain the rest afterwards. All right, so I'll wait a moment here for you all to get caught up on here and everything like that. So I'll just wait like a minute for you all to get here. Okay. So now from here, we can now move on to the next step. So for this next part, how I find it easiest is to bring it from over here first, like this. And I like to make it just about this thick, not too thick. And bring it up and around all the way down. So I'm going to pause here for just a moment to make sure you all have that, because this next part looks a little bit tricky, but it's actually super easy, but you just need to look at it closely. So now we just started from here and we just follow the same line we had there, the same curve. And you can always tell me in the comments if you are done, or if you want me to go faster or slower or move on or anything like that. All right, so now moving on to the next step. So from here, we are just going to bring this line up and connect over here. like that. And then from here, all I did was bring this line up. You don't want your lines to be too dark, but you want it to be a good amount. And you want it to be as much as you can the same all throughout, because when you paint on top of it, sometimes the lines are visible. But how we're going to outline it all, the lines shouldn't be visible. But just in case you want to draw pretty lightly, I'm just drawing a little bit darker so you can see better. All right. So now, from here, we are just going to make a little curve that comes up like this. And then back down. And then just connect it with the same line right here. So basically now, hopefully you could see it, but now this part is the trunk of Lord Ganesha that connects into his head, and this part is just the background. So hopefully you're able to spot that. And sometimes you can fix it if you like, but you shouldn't spend too much time on it. But fix it to make it more roundish or anything like that. I'll wait a moment here for everyone to get caught up. And then we can move on to the next step. So, as I said that you can raise your hands if you had a question on Zoom. A lot of you raised your hands when I said that, so if you don't have a question, then please lower your hand. All right. So now, from here, we can move on to the next part. So for this, we pretty much have the basic outline and all that shape ready. Okay. So now, from here, I am just going to make the top part, which is this. And from here, we are just going to start up over here. And I'm just going to curve it upwards like this. And I'm going to continue this all throughout, but not too far. You just want to do a little, maybe like about five of them. Like this. And also, like, you shouldn't spend too much time on perfecting it. because when you're doing this and perfecting it, it honestly looks better the first time before you started trying to make it look super good. Because just keep in mind that this is just the drawing part of it. It's not even the painting part. Okay. So now, from here, we're going to do this. So for this, after we do this part, I'll pause for a moment. For like a minute or two. So now, from here, we are going to curve this upwards like this. It's not going to come all the way from down here. It's a little bit higher up. Now we're going to follow those same lines. Like that. And as you can see, there's this line that comes across here. So you can go ahead and erase that little part of the line. All right. And you can always fix this later when you're painting it too. You don't need to spend too much time on it and trying to perfect it right now. And then I'm going to actually wait just like a minute here to make sure you all have this down. All right. So now from here, So now from here, we are just going to be making the eye. So for this, I'm going to make the eye right about here. And I'm just going to make it a little bit over towards the right side, that halfway. And I'm just going to make a little curve that comes up like this. And I'll repeat this on another piece of paper. Then I'm going to curve it up like this. I'm going to curve it back down and connect it to here. So again, I'll repeat this on another piece of paper now. So we're just going to curve it up like this. And then back in like this. So again, if you like, you can turn your canvas or your paper to make it like straight so that you don't have to draw it diagonally. Or if you choose to do that, then we just have to curve it up and down and then back down and connect like this. And this is the eye of Lord Ganesha's head. So it's the eye. So I'll give you a moment here to get this eye done. All right. So now from here, I got my eye in. And now from here, I'm going to make the next part. And after I do this part, I'll wait for a moment. But from here, we're just going to keep rising this up a little bit and then connect it. Like this. And if you like, you can fill this in because we'll be using black anyway. So you know where it's supposed to be. And you can see if you like how it's looking. Like that. And then I'm just going to make it a little bit thicker at the bottom of it. Now we can connect this here. Like that. And that is our eye. Again. So right here, we just keep rising it up and rising it up like this. Now we can fill it in so we can see how it looks because it's going to be in black anyway. Like that. And then at the bottom, we can bring it down with another layer. And you don't want to spend too much time for perfecting this because when we put the paint overwards, it's not going to even look the same. So you don't want to spend too much time on it. So again, we just curve it up and back down. And then same thing again for the eye. And if it helps, then you can draw like an almond shape like this. And then from here you can make your shape like this. If it helps like for a guideline, then you can also do that. All right, so now we'll be moving on, but real quick, I'll show you one more time. So if this isn't working for you, if this isn't like being any better for you, then you can curve it up from right here, then follow the same line, and then curve it up there, and then do the same thing over here, curve it down, follow the same line like that, and then erase this part here and this part here. That also works too. And then make the sticker now. Alrighty. All right. So now we can move on to the next step. So for this, we're going to be drawing the inside of the eye, and if it helps, you can turn your canvas or whatever you're using, and then make that shape. So all we're going to do is bring it in on both sides, and we don't want to touch all the way to the bottom of the eye, and we don't want to make a circle. We want to make like a half circle. So we start on this side and bring it in and up over here. Because if you look at a real eye, it is actually not all the way visible like the pupil because the top of the eyelid is covering the top part. So again, I went a little fast on that, so I'll repeat it. We're gonna bring it in right here, not come all the way to the bottom, but pretty close on both sides like that. We're making a half circular shape. All right. So now from here, in the inside of the eye, we are going to be making the same exact circular shape, but not coming as far down. And then we're gonna fill this in, which is gonna be black, but you don't have to fill it in, but so you know that's black, you can fill it in. And then we want to do one circle right here and a bigger circle below it right there. And this is going to be the glare and the reflection of the light or whatever is glaring in the eye. All right. So again, we make this right here. Then we make one circle right here and an even bigger circle right there, like that. And I'll wait a moment here for you all to get caught up in the eye. All right, so on to the next step. So from here, well, first, as you can see, there's like some finger marks because of the graphite and the pencil, but that's all right because we'll be painting over it and we're not leaving anything white, so that's all right. And even if it was white, then we could paint over it white. Like for these parts over here, we'll be painting over it white. All right, on to the next step. So for this next part, all we have left to do is the tusk and like the design up here. Okay. And also while drawing, I recommend to not have a super sharp pencil, because if you have a super sharp pencil, then it's sometimes harder to draw because you might get it too dark on it or get it too light on, or sorry. And if you have a dull pencil, then it'll be lighter on it. All right. So now from here, for the tusk, I'm just going to make an oval shape like this. So I'm gonna go in the same standard pace for everyone because half of you want me to go slower and half of you want me to go faster. And let's just be patient with each other and just get this painting done. All right. So now from here, I'm going to just make like an upside down U shape kind of, but sideways. So like a sideways U shape. It's going to start over here, but it's not going to come all the way to the edges. It's going to be close to the edges. And then from here, we're now going to, as if it came through, bring it from underneath like this and curve it at the bottom. So kind of like a triangular shape. You don't want the lines to be too thick either. What I mean by thick lines is that, like if you're drawing something like this and you keep like adding baby lines, you don't want it to become too thick like that. You kind of just want to make it as best as you can as one line. But you can always, if it's too thick, then you can always erase some of it to create just that one line. Alrighty. So now, from here, all we have left to do is the design up here. And we can move on to the painting part. So for this, I'm going to start it about up here. And you want to draw pretty lightly. But I'm going to start it about right up here. And I'm just going to make some curvy shapes like these. And then I'm going to curve it in like this. I'm going to bring it back out. And then back in with just curvy lines and curvy shapes. So if you have any questions, then make sure to type it in the chat, because I don't know whose hand is actually raised, because I asked you guys to unraise your hand or lower your hand if you don't actually have a question, because before you all, some of you guys raised it to make sure that it worked. But now I don't know whose hand is actually raised. So if you have a question instead of me calling on you, then please just type it in the chat. And make sure to only type something relevant to what we're doing in the chat also. Otherwise, that's taking up time. All right, so on to the next part. So from here, I'm gonna make some more curvy shapes and then curve it in and back out like this. And then I'm just gonna curve it down like that. All right. So now we are all done with the drawing. And now we will have a commercial break before we start painting just for like 5 minutes. And you can make sure you have your paints, your water, and your paper towel, and your brushes, and your just anything else you need to put underneath all ready. And you could also go to the bathroom or a snack break or anything like that, and we'll be back in 5 minutes.
Choose a plan and connect your live sessions. Welcome to Tutor Roars, education through online platform made simple at Tutor Roars. AP Physics, AP Chemistry, Artificial Intelligence and Mathematics. SAT, ACT, college entrance exams start early at a young age and know your possibilities for best universities. At Tutor Roars, we teach students how to score. Join Tutor Roars now.
All right, so we'll get started in just a minute. And also this is a time where you can fix your drawing or do whatever you'd like to it and make sure it's how you like it, because we have a break right now. And also make sure, again, even though we're on the break, make sure that the comments are relevant to what we are doing and not random stuff. Alrighty. So again, make sure you have all your materials ready. I'm going to be choosing my paintbrushes, and I'll tell you which ones I'll be using. All right. So all throughout, I am basically just going to be using these 3 brushes. These are both 9s, and they're just, all of these are flat brushes, and this one is a fat brush, and it's a flat one. And these are basically the only things I'll be using all throughout. And you may be wondering how we'll do the eye. For that, I'm just going to be using the tip of the flat brush. This is my favorite thing to do when I've experimented with seeing which one works best. This is the one that probably works best, better than even a thin brush. If you would like to, you can go ahead and use a thin brush if you would like, or anything like that, but you do not have to. So these are the paint brushes, and you want to make sure, again, like I was saying, that you clean out your water every now and then, because you may have like for example, what I was saying is when you're using your black and you have to like use some of your, you have to like wet your brush, then once you do that, your water probably will turn like into a dark color, and when you have to use like a lighter color, then it'll be hard to use that. So that's why we want to clean out our water. Alrighty, so let's get started. So this is the time you want your paper towel, also so you can wipe off your brushes when you're painting. So I am first going to start off by painting Lord Ganesha's head. And for this, I'm using a yellow color. And if you want the specific yellow color I'm using, is a deep yellow. It's just a deep yellow. And it's nothing like, it's not like any super cool special yellow. If you don't have this yellow, then you can use any yellow you have. Like if you don't have this, you can use any yellows. But if you only have like a bright yellow like this, I recommend to mix in some light orange or like a little bit of dark orange if you don't have light orange. So it's not a super bright color, because we want like a mix of like an orangish and yellow color, which is basically this deep yellow. All right, so I'm just gonna squirt some onto my plate. And yes, also we are using acrylic paint because we are using a canvas. And also, if you do not have acrylic paint, I got a question earlier if they can use watercolor paint. Yes, you can, but I recommend if you're using watercolor paint, then to do it not on regular paper, because again, it'll dry out and be crinkly. But you can use watercolor paper. You can use a canvas, but I don't know how well that will turn out, if the color would really show at its best. But you can use whatever you have. So I just like to squirt a little bit onto my palette or plate. And if I need to, I can add more so we don't waste any paint. All right, so my brush is already wet. My brushes are already wet, but if yours are not, then you can go ahead and just mix in some water into it. But again, if you're mixing it water, you want to make sure that you're not using a lot of water. You want to only use a little bit of water, and then you want to wipe off the excess water. And the reason we do this is to make sure our paint comes out its fullest, but you don't want to use as much as water as you would use for watercolor. So I'll just show you again. But you don't want to like dip it all this much into it. And if you do, then you can just wipe it off like this. But you just want it to be slightly damp. So that the water, so that the paint comes at its fullest. All right. So I'm just going to use my yellow paint. I don't have a lot on, but now I'm just gonna go through and I'll be showing you all the areas we'll be using this. So don't go through like in here in all areas that you don't know because it can be a little bit confusing. So we want to go in through here. You don't want to go through in this little gap here because that's going to be the background color. So as if it comes through here, this is where we want that color to be. I'm just going to go ahead and go in random areas and then have it all done in the end. And also, while I'm painting, I'll be telling you some of my techniques and my tips while I paint. The first one is to go in the same direction while you're painting. And like what I mean by that is to, if you're going straight down, then go straight down. Don't go this way or some diagonal way. Just go the same direction because you don't want it to like accidentally go in this direction because it'll be visible once you like are done with it. Once it'll be visible that you went in a different direction and it doesn't look too good. But if you do, then that's okay. And also this is also where you want the yellow color. And also if you have edges on your paint, on your canvas, then you can paint the edges, but if you start to paint the edges, like let's say you do the edges now, make sure that you don't go like all throughout, only where this color would be and up here on the side. And also, if you start doing the edges here, make sure you do them on all throughout too, but with the different color. I like to do the edges because it makes it look more clean, so I will be doing the edges. But once you are done with your painting, then please let me know in the comments or in the chat so I know. And you can always let me know if you're not done too, so I also know that you're still working and I need a pause or whatever, or go slower or faster or anything like that. But I can't suit all your needs because some of you want me to go faster and some of you want me to go slower. At times I'll be going faster and at times I'll be going slower. If it's in little sections, then you can like go in different directions if it's like in a little part. As you can see, I accidentally got some paint in there, but that's all right because our background color will fill that up because our background color is darker than this color. It's okay if you get a little bit in it as long as it's not a lot. And if it's right away, then you can kind of wipe it off with your hand and it'll make it lighter. And if you are done, then while you're waiting for everyone else, then you can make sure that you have it all where you want it and you have the edges or whatever you want to do, however you'd like to paint it. And then from there, you can make sure that you have the rest of it, like the drawing and everything, how you like it. And while you're waiting, that's what you can do. But also, if you're done, then make sure to tell me in the chat. And make sure that you actually took your time on it and not just went super fast, because you want to be careful while you're getting into the edges too. And as you can see, I'm going in different directions here. So that's only because it's like a small section. And sometimes if the paint is wet, I won't be able to tell that you went in a different direction. But you want to do your best to make it not visible, if you did. All right. So I'm getting about done here. I just want to go in very carefully. And I'm getting to here. And after we are done with Lord Ganesha's head, we are not actually done. We have like to paint the other things too. Otherwise it'll just be in pencil. So just be patient and stick with me. And make sure you took your time and actually did it. Not super fast, but you did it the best you can. Alrighty. So basically when I get to something like this, I like to basically just outline it, but on the outside of it. Then it's easier to have all of it done. All right. And you also want to paint this right here, also the yellow color. And you want to do your best not to paint on top of pencil because the darkness of the pencil will spread onto your painting. You don't want that. And also if you have no more paint and you only need a little bit more, then I like to just put my paintbrush into the paint so I don't have to squirt it and actually put too much. All right, so everyone let me know where they're at, if they're done or if they're not done or anything like that. Just let me know in the chat. All right. So it looks like 3/4 of you are done and 1/4 of you aren't. So for that 3/4 of you that are done, then you can go ahead and start painting another part of it while everyone else is still doing theirs. So you can go ahead and paint this part. So for this part, this time I'm choosing to do some blue for this. And then over here, I'm going to be doing red. So I'm switching these colors. And you can do whatever you'd like. So you can do the same thing I'm doing, or you can do what I did last time, or anything like that. All right. So I'll just be painting the sides of my canvas later. All right. So I am just going to be using some brilliant blue. You can use any blue you have. Like you can use cobalt blue, phthalo blue, or anything like that. I'm just going to use brilliant blue because I really like the color of this and how it turns out. So I'm going to squirt some onto my palette. You don't want too much this time because it's just over here, not the actual background. And if you need more, you can always add more, but I like to start off with a little bit so I don't waste any paint. And you can also use red there or anything like that. So I'm just going to dip my paintbrush in a little bit of water. And then just going to dip it in a little bit and then wipe it against the edges. And then I like to just bring some out. And for this, I like this color, this certain type of color, when there's a little bit of water in it, because it brings a really nice color. So I'm just going to bring it through right here. And you don't want to make it too watery that looks like watercolors. All right. So we're just going to go ahead and do that all throughout. Now, for everyone that, if you are done, with this part of his, like the head, if you're done with that, then please let me know so I can move on more towards here. So as you can see, now that I'm still going to be using it, but to show you, like there's like a darker color in here. So you want to make sure if you're using like a yellow or anything like that, that you don't spread that color onto it. So you can empty out your water and put new water, but you don't need to. But in my opinion, that's just more helpful. So I'm just using some water and I'm just bringing the paint in as if I'm painting on my plate. And then I'm just bringing it through here. And you want to make it as visible as you can to make it look like that there's another layer in there. Like to see that there's a line that comes through, but that's fine if you don't, we can always add that later. All right. So we have about 30 minutes left. So we want to do our best we can. So for this part, you can do some blue or some red. I chose to switch the colors this time and to do a red background and the blue for the top. All right. So make sure you go in the same direction with smooth strokes. And let me know when you're done with this too. All right, I'm about done here. So it should now look like this. So let me know in the comments once you are done. I'm just gonna clean out my paintbrush now. And to clean it off, you just need to put a lot of water and get a paper towel and then just kind of like pull at it. Like that. And if you chose to do blue here, now is a good time to empty out your water and put new water in. Okay. So now, it looks like most of you are done. So now we can move on to the next step. For this next part, I think I'm going to do Lord Ganesha's eye. So for this, I'm just going to be using some black. You can use ivory black or whatever black you have. I'm just going to be using some regular black. And this is for Lord Ganesha's eye. So again, I'm just going to be using this paintbrush. And I'm just going to squirt some onto my palette. And that actually may be too much, but that's all right if you put too much. And I am just going to follow up in the same area and just kind of keep curving my paintbrush and bringing it down like that. And we can always fix it and make it like more neater later. We just want to get the basic shape in. All right. So now I think I have it how I want it. And obviously I did not use that much black. I used just a tint of it. But that's all right. And sometimes you can even put your paint back into your bottle or whatever. If you want, you can just like push it back into it. All right. So now from here, we can move on to the next step. So don't compare your art to mine because mine is going to be very different from yours. As you can see, this one is already very different from this one, and you should be happy with your final product, not with, you should be like not happy because yours doesn't look as good as someone else's, because you should be happy with yours, and yours should look the best to you. All right. So now all we have left to do other than the background is the tusk and the design. So for this, I am just going to be using some white. This is regular white. It's not like titanium white or anything like that. You can use any white you have. But I'm just going to use some regular white. And I am just going to squirt a little bit on my palette. You really don't need a lot. I just have a little bit on there. And in the places you'll be needing it is right here on the tusk. And also up over here in the design. So I'm gonna go through with white. All right. So now we are all done except for the background and the outline on some of the parts. Alrighty. So again, I'm going to be going at the same standard pace for everyone because half of you want me to go slower, half of you want me to go faster. So the way it works best is if I just go in the middle, suiting both your needs. All right. So now for the background, I'm going to be using a thicker brush for some parts, and then for some parts, I'll be using a lighter brush. But I'm just going to be using some red. You can use blue if you did red up here. I'm just going to squirt some red onto my palette. Now, I obviously didn't use all that white either, but that's all right. And I'm just going to dip it in some water and then wipe it off. I'm just going to take some. I actually have a lot on here. I'm just going to put, I don't want to go back and forth like this. I want to keep picking up my paintbrush and going in the same strokes. So if you'd like to, you can mix some like red or, sorry, some orange or like some yellow into your red to make it a nice color. But I'm just going to go ahead and use Brilliant Red. And this is just Brilliant Red. It's not any, like, you can use regular red or anything like that. But this is like a brilliant blue, and like the brilliant colors turn, like come out like really well. And you can also use just a regular standard red or anything like that. And also we'll be doing the rest of the eye in just a moment after we are done with this. And if you're done and you've done all the background and everything, then please let me know in the comments. And I'm also going to paint the edges now. You don't need a lot of paint. And then also I'm going to be painting the edges over here, but you don't want to be painting them all the way because there's yellow over here, so you don't want to paint all the way through here. You only want to paint the edges right here with red. All right. So I'm gonna now get a smaller brush, but still this flat brush, just a smaller one. And I'm going to go ahead and use this for the little areas in the red. So it's very tiny. You want to be very careful when you're doing this. And also, like for the eye in certain small areas, if you don't think that you can do it super well without messing it up, then you can also just use some marker or some like Sharpies or anything like that instead of using paint. So I'm just gonna go through here and connect it in through here. So you can do the best you can, but if it's hard to go through here, then you can use some Sharpie. But I would like you to keep in mind that the Sharpie color is not going to be the same exact color as the paint color. So it'll be kind of obvious that you're using a different color. But if that's the best you can do, then go ahead and do that. So we have about 5 minutes left in this class. And we're almost done here. All right. So this just takes patience. So make sure to be patient while you're doing this because it will look amazing in the end. As you can see, it's already starting to look really good. We're almost done. And don't compare your art to someone else's or mine or anything like that, because you should be happy with your creation and how yours turned out, because you're the one that did it, not anyone else. You may have gotten help from someone else, but whoever helped you didn't do all of it. So be happy on how yours turned out. And don't be mad at that someone else's looks better, anything like that. And also, if you get a little bit like this, do not worry, I'll show you how to fix that and cover it up in a moment. So when I get over here, I just kind of curve my brush like this. So now that most of you guys are done, we just have a couple more steps left, which is just doing the eye and one more outlining something. But I'm just gonna go ahead and do the edge up here real quick. In the edges, it's totally all right if you go in a different direction because the edges isn't very visible. It just shows that there's color there and it looks good like that. All right. So now we are done with that. So now real quick, I'll show you how to cover up something if you accidentally got the paint on top or anything like that. So you can just get your yellow color or whatever it is. And you want to do this once it's dried and just go on top of it. And sometimes it doesn't work that well if you go on top, so sometimes you need to add a little bit of white. And then once you have white there, then you just have to use your color and put it on top again. So once this white dries, then you get your yellow color and you put it on top. And this is how I fix mine if I sometimes accidentally go on top of it. So in these areas, they didn't come all the way through and you see some white, so I'm gonna go ahead and fill that in. Alrighty. So now, because most of you are done on this, I'll show you how to do the eye. And if you're not done with the background or whatever, then that's okay. Just try to follow up with the eye right now. So now for the eye, all we have left to do is a teensy bit of black in here. Like that. I actually got a little bit over there, but that's all right. And then this is where we will be needing the burnt umber or the brown. I'm using the color burnt umber. But I'm not going to even squirt some of my palette because I only need a little bit. So I'm just only going to take a little bit. And I can cover it on top like this if I accidentally got some black or anything like that. All right. So now I have it all carefully in. So it looks a little bit like black on the camera, but it's actually brown. It's nice brown. And the color I used is burnt umber. And then lastly, what we'll be needing in the eye, I'm actually just gonna go ahead and use this long paintbrush, which is just a 1. And the only reason I'm using this is because it has like a kind of like a thick point right there, and it's like hard bristled. And I'm just gonna get some white and just go on top right here. Like that. And this is the glare and the reflection on the eye. Alrighty. So for everyone that's still here, thank you all for being patient, sticking with me. But now since this is dried, I'm just gonna go ahead and put some yellow on top of it. There's only if you accidentally paint it over. And as you can see now, it looks like nothing even happened. So sometimes white is just the trick. All right. So now the last thing we'll be needing is some gold. And if you do not have some gold or metallic color, then do not fret. I'll show you what you'll need to do. You'll be needing some brown. Again, I'm using this burnt umber and also that deep yellow or whatever yellow you have. And I already have some yellow onto my palette. So I'm just gonna go ahead and next to it, squirt in just a teensy bit of brown. You don't even need that much. And I'm just gonna go ahead and take in some brown and mix it together. And you may need to add some more of this color and that color in order for it to work out. Alrighty. So now I've got my color that I need. It looks a little bit like a brown on the camera, but on the outline it'll actually look super good. So for this, what we'll be outlining is the tusk right here. And this color should be a little bit darker than your background white color, but that's okay if it camouflages in just a little bit. But it should be standing out a little bit more. I'm just gonna go ahead and outline this. So as you can see, it stands out a little bit more. All right. So the last thing we'll be needing to outline on here, well, not the last thing, but the other thing we'll be needing to outline on here is this over here, like this design. Like that. And right here, some red got in here, so I'm just gonna go over with a little bit of white. All right. So now the last part we'll be needing this color is over here. And then once we've got this, we're all done. So right here it looks like a little bit chunky on the camera, but actually right here it looks really good. So do not worry if yours looks a little bit different than mine, because sometimes on the camera it shows up differently. All right. So for that gold color, I'm just going to make little dots like this. And you don't have to, this is optional, but this gives a nice touch to it. So I'm almost done here. And there we go. We've now got it in. And if you'd like to, you can also outline it with this color. And it looks like a nice gold color, but for some reason on the camera it looks like a black. But it's actually like a nice golden color. All right. So now we are all done. And if you would like to, you can outline this here like I was saying, but you don't have to. And once it's all dried, then you can add in, once it's all dry, then you can erase like some of these pencil lines if you'd like to, if they're still visible. Alrighty. So I'm really hoping you enjoyed this session and learned some tips and tricks from me. And my passion is to teach my creative skills to everyone, inspire all of you to explore what you love to do and move on to creativity. And be proud of yourself on how this turned out, because I am very proud of you for coming with me and staying this long and doing all the art with me. And if you're done, then please let me know in the comments or in the chat so I know. And also, I'm Sindhu Sirpaneni, and my Facebook page is I2C Sindhu. And the Facebook page is called Imaginations to Creation. And I do a lot of creative, fun stuff on my page. And you can follow and like my page to get notifications when I do my classes. And if you have everything done, then please let me know. And again, I would like to thank the Telugu Association of North America and the president, Jay Tullery, and the New Jersey Regional Vice President, Raja Kasakirti, and all of the leaderships there. And I would like everyone to show me their artwork. And I would also like you to send your pictures to me on Messenger or on my Facebook page, because I really like to see all of your final creations and all of your artworks.
Thank you, Sindhu.
You're welcome.
What's your Facebook? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Can we leave now? I'm gonna see.
Very light dots.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you all for coming. I love all of your paintings. They look really good. Next Tuesday, everyone remember that next Tuesday we also have other classes.
I don't know. I really want to come to this
Next Tuesday we have more classes.
I'm leaving now, okay? I'm leaving.
Thank you all for coming. I hope to see you next Tuesday.
Hey, someone read on the paper.
Thank you. Bye.
Before you go,
If you don't have anything else to say, then I heard someone has a question. So if you're not talking, then
what is your Facebook ID?
so my Facebook page is I2C Sindhu, and my Facebook page name is Imaginations to Creation, and www.facebook.com.
What material do we need for next week?
Hold on a sec.
Excuse me.
So I will send you all the details. I'll email you guys all the details of what we'll be needing.
Thank you.
Can you tell your Facebook page again?
Yeah, so my Facebook page is www.facebook.com/I2C
Excuse me.
and my Facebook page name is Imaginations to Creation.
Excuse me.
Yes?
So for the background paint, can we use a carving knife to paint the background?
Sorry, can you repeat? Hold on a sec. Whoever asked that question, can you please repeat that? And if you're not asking the question, please be on mute so I can understand what they're saying.
So for the background, can we use can we put paint on the carving knife and do it for the background with the carving knife?
Thank you, Sindhu. Thank you so much.
So yes, you can do that if you like to.
Okay.
Do you guys have any other questions? If you don't have any other questions, then you're free to go. For those of you that came and stayed this long, thank you all for coming. I really enjoyed teaching this to you. I really hope you enjoy learning it. If no one else has any other questions, then you can go ahead and leave.
Can I show you my picture of Ganesha?
Thank you very much. It was a great.
Okay, now thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Can I show you my picture of my Ganesha?
Yes, you can.
I show it.
Wow, it looks really good. I really like how it is.
Can I show my picture? Can I show you my Ganesha? Ganesha.
Yeah. So just hold up your Ganeshas and then I can look at them.
Where's my Ganesha?
They all look really good.
Here's mine.
I love how all of yours are. They look amazing. So you can also send them to me on Messenger or show me on my Facebook page. And I love to see how all of yours are because
Yeah. You like my sisters? What's your meeting idea again? Can I show you my sisters?
yeah, sure.
Look.
Wow, that looks amazing. I really like the eye in that.
He finished before you, but you're better at hers.
No, everyone is just as good as everyone else in here. You just have to be happy with how yours is. And you shouldn't compare with anyone else's because some people have been doing it longer than someone else.
Can I show you mine? It's still drying.
Sure. Wow, that looks amazing.
Sorry so much. Can you look at mine? Sometimes loud, can I actually? Can you look at mine?
Yeah. It looks really good.
Now can you open because you're done? Yeah, done with the painting.
All right. So, if you don't have any questions, then you're free to go. If you have any questions, then please let me know right now.
I don't care. You don't care. What's your meeting ID? Well, I do.
So we'll be sending like the meeting ID and everything before every class, so you don't have to worry about that right now.
I don't care. I don't care. You already told your word. Here's my own book. I love art.
Okay, so I'm going to be ending the meeting, so if you have any other questions, then please let me know, or we'll say goodbye.
Tell it. Tell me a question.
Bye.
Because. Bye. If anything gets dirty, I only.
Bye, everyone. Thank you all for coming. I hope to see you next Tuesday. Bye.